I never wanted to be an artist. I'm Daniel Harms. I'm an artist, and this is my story so far. I grew up in the early 80s in Hamburg, Germany, and let's say my childhood was very turbulent, and this was the reason because of my parents were some special. My mom is a hardcore alcoholic, and my dad was a tyrant, and it was a very violent time when I grew up. Just for an example, once I came out of my room and there was a broken baseball bat and a pool of blood, and let's say as an 8-year-old kid, how you want to deal with that? So you turn around and you're in your own world. So, and that's what I did. So I created my own world, and I was pretty alone with that, but I could handle it. And things heated up when I was, let's say, around 9 until 14. So then the things heated up. It's like my mom tried to stab me a few times, and the reason was pretty, yeah, I don't know how to say it. It's like she was hiding her bottles behind the bed or the couch, and I was, even in that early age, I was taking the bottles and flush it out in the toilet or in the sink, and it was that was the punishment. She was trying to stab me multiple times, and my luck was always that I was faster. So, and yeah, actually I was pretty good in sport in school, and that was my advantage. But yeah, how to move on? So I think around 15, 16, or let's say 15, I discovered more and more music. I was more and more interested in music, and I remember there was one moment I was on the flea market and I had a big bag with coins. And this bag was so full with coins, and I was on the flea market, and I just had to go, okay, I want to get a vinyl. It was, yeah, early 90s, late 80s, yeah, let's say early 90s. And vinyl was bigger thing, now it's back again. And there was a guy with a typical metal guy with long hair, and there was this little cabins and shelves with all the vinyls, and I was like checking the art out, and then I saw it. I saw Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, and I saw this cover and I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? So when you're 14 and you see this old school painted metal covers, you go crazy. And so I actually have no idea how much money was in this bag full of coins, but I took the vinyl, I went to the guy and I said, hey, I need this LP, I need this vinyl, please take everything. And the guy was pretty amused by that situation, and he said, yeah, keep the vinyl, and I give him the bag. And so it was like, I went home and I had this vinyl player, cassette, tape, combination shit, this big block of technique back in the day. And I put on the vinyl, and I remember the first track was Invaders from Number of the Beast, and I heard the guitars and I was blown away. I never heard something before that. So from my dad, I had the experience from, he was listening to Deep Purple and stuff like this, and yeah, it was okay, but when I put the vinyl on and the first riff banged through the speakers, it was done. So that's my world. That's my new home. That's my safe space and escape room. So, and then I started digging deeper, and I was buying all the LPs and vinyls that I could get. And yeah, so the situation at home was not good. It was actually even getting worse. And so I was more sleeping over at friends and more listening to music and diving deeper. I was completely in my own bubble. And around 17, I started an education as a salesman because you have to do something. And there was this big department store. It was actually 5 minutes away from my home, and I decided, okay, let's go. So I was lazy, and it was very close, and I said, yeah, okay. I tried it, and they accepted me for the education, and then I did this whole education process. And in that time, the situation at home was pretty messed up, and I started going out, and I was like, even with a job, I was out on the Hamburg red light district, which is very famous in the world. It's called the Reeperbahn, St. Pauli, and I was there in my high times, I think 5 times in a week, and it was always about trying to forget, trying to be someone else, but also at the time to be yourself. It's complicated and difficult to explain, but I just wanted to go out. It doesn't matter for me. So it was like I was starting drinking alcohol, and I was partying hard like no tomorrow, like 5 days a week, party hard, and still going to work. So that this situation will not last forever. That was pretty sure. And I remember one day I came to my job. I think it was a Saturday, and I think I was home at the Saturday at 6 in the morning, because I was out for party and girls and booze and this routine that I developed. And yeah, so I had 1 hour, 2 hours, and then I went to the job, and I was completely wasted. I was just a mess. And then my boss saw me and was like, okay, you can party, you can work, and yes, fair enough. So, but after 2 or 3 times having a party at the bathroom with the toilet, I said, okay, I have to go. And yeah, that was a rough time and a pretty special time. And I think I needed this life for the moment to realize what I don't want. And I think it was around 20. I was 20, and I was at the festival in Germany, and I think I had this one day on the festival. I think I had 8 or 9 Red Bull, and every possible alcohol liquid that I could find, and I was still on my legs and feet and starting riot and party, and it was even today, I think 20, 23 years, people still talk to me that were there at the festival like that, and that was pretty wild. But that was actually also the last time I drank alcohol, because when I woke up in my vomit and completely wasted and wet and I don't know what kinds of fluids were on me, I woke up and realized, okay, if I don't stop here, I end up like my parents. And that was the last thing I wanted to be. It's like, that's the example how to not have a life and a future. And I stopped drinking. Snap. Never again. Since 23 years now. So I will not say I didn't had a alcohol problem, but I used the alcohol to escape and having no feelings. So that was hard, and it was even more hard to see when I was out with my friends for a party, and I was sober, and I saw people like a transformer morphing into a different creature because of alcohol or drugs or something like this. That was hard to see when I was sober. Let's call it sober, to see, okay, shit, you was probably even worse than that. Yeah, and at that time I started more to bring structure in my life, and it was like, okay, because at that time I always had a job like here, then there, then this, but it was never like something consistent because I couldn't focus how you should focus. The thing is, I at some point I quit at my department store, and it was like I saw the people surrounding me or around me, and I was like, okay, I don't want to end up here. I'm more than this. And then it was also the situation that my boss came to me and said, yeah, you're good, but your numbers are bad. And I said, hey, you don't give me money to change something here. And every time I bring up an idea to change the business concept or the ideas like to catch new people, it was always rejected. It was always the excuse, yeah, there's no money for this, there's no money for this. And when you're constantly hearing this, like you're bringing ideas to the table and it's not getting acknowledged, or you're getting not the right feedback, you lose hope. And so it was anyway a difficult time for me. And then this struggle with my boss and how he runs his business, it was I said I quit. And the thing is, when you quit in Germany, it's like not that you get straight away support from let's say from the government or something like this. So you actually have to get fired to get support. So which is like nonsense, whatever. So, and the thing is, I had a little money back up, I had a little safety, but yeah, I made a decision and I said, okay, I don't want this anymore. So, and I went to the office and I said, hey guys, I'm out. So, and they were shocked because they didn't expect this. They knew at the time I was always this goofball and always wasted, but I did my job very good. And they said, hey, we want to keep you. How? So I said, hey, it's not working anymore. So for this reason. So I tried many times, but I reached out to you, but I never got the feedback that I needed. So that was my decision. And at that point, I took a break from everything to recharge my batteries and to start thinking, okay, what I want and what I need and what I don't want. And that was very important, because a lot of people these days, they don't know what they want or what they not want. And around that time, from my old party times, I was getting in touch with some old friends, and they said, hey, we're starting here a band, and it's pretty rough. And I was always a musician. I was always in the local metal and extreme death metal scene, and I was always in a band, but it never worked for whatever reasons. And so my friends, they approached me and they said, yeah, we want to do something new. And I said, okay, let's rehearsal, let's show me. And I had some little material written at that time, but I thought it was too extreme for the scene in Hamburg, Germany, where I lived, because it was crazy stuff. And my friends, they had the same approach. It was the same, not exactly the same, but it was a rough diamond. And I thought, okay, this could be an opportunity. And so we started rehearsing and practicing, and we wrote songs. And we recorded an EP. And I remember the recordings. It was a friend of us. So I remember we were standing on a he was living at his parents' house, and he was having at that time a very basic recording setup, and it was called primitive. And I remember we were standing on a child's bed of his brother and playing brutal metal guitars, and it was funny. It was a funny time, and so yeah, it was crazy. So, and we created something new at the time. It was very, very, very brutal, and it really represented what we were at that time. So it was music like when you if I should give you names like Converge or Dillinger Escape Plan, Botch, something like this. So it was non-linear music. It was like one track, 5 minutes, no riff will repeat. It was fast, it was brutal, it was not from this world, but it was pretty much what we are at that time. We had two singers, and we were just angry. And the music was full of anger, and it was that thing that I needed, and it was so pure in its roughest form. And so we were sending out the EP. I think it was a 3-track EP to some people and some local bookers, like to make a show maybe. And we had a show, and the first show was booked, and I think 2 days before the show happened, we called a few friends, and we said, okay, we have this band now, we want to do a pre-listening and pre-show thing. We were just scared and afraid of negative feedback, and we called, I don't know, 10, 15 friends, and we had drinks in a practice room, in a rehearsal room, and we started to play, and they were completely shocked because they never heard something like this before. At that time in Hamburg, you either had classical metal, hard rock stuff, or you had new metal stuff that was a new thing at that time, the early 2000s. So we're talking about 2004. And so they're pretty shocked and scared, but we saw, okay, the reaction is that what we wanted. And yeah, I think 2 days later we had the first show in the club called Logo. The Logo is actually a bigger bar, so. But it's a lovely place, and we played there many times after that. But we played the first show, and it was full house, and everyone was curious, and the rumors were spreading because we're all some people from the scene, and so it was full house, and we started playing, and it was completely riot. It was total insane chaos on stage because we were not standing around. We're not standing around like we was an inferno. It was everyone. So my style, the thing is, the music comes out of me through my instrument, and it was like I was running around banging my guitar in the wall, and it was. I wish I had footage from that show. Yeah, and I think we had a short set, and after that people screamed, yeah, more. And we said, we don't have more. And I said, okay, then play it again. And we looked at the booker, and he said, yeah, do what you want. It's your crowd. You won. Okay, and then we played more, and we continued, and we raised a community for this new genre that we created. Today you will call it gent or whatever, or yeah. So, but at that time for us it was chaos. We called it chaos, or mathcore is also a genre thing. So, and the thing is, we played a lot of shows and a lot of tours, and we gained popularity, and it was fun, and yeah, it was good. We had a pretty nasty image because I remember one show my second guitar player was sticking the guitar in the wall, and my singer was destroying the monitor speakers, and I remember the sound engineer came after the show, and he said, hey, I mixed so many fucked up punk bands, but this show was the worst what I ever experienced. So just from the chaos. So, and now we come to the art thing, and I remember we played a show. I think in South Germany. It was a festival, and I was jumping. On stage, and when I landed, my left knee was snapping back to me, and it was a pain that I never felt before. It was. I think I had tears in my eyes. What is fair enough. And I smashed on the ground, but the problem was it was the third song, and we had, I think, 10 or 11, and I'm a tough guy, and I said, yeah, fuck it, I played the whole set through, and I was sitting, and the thing is, on stage, back in the day, you don't have this fancy in-ear monitoring or whatever, you have the speakers, and it's fucking loud. It was very loud. So I was sitting there with a pain in my face, but I was still playing guitars, and I looked at my singer, and my singer said, yeah, that's crazy shit, you sit there. And I said, call the ambulance. And he said, yeah, you fucking wrong. I said, call the fucking ambulance. He didn't hear it was too loud. So, and after the show, the ambulance came, and they brought me to the local hospital, and the thing is, they put me in the back of the ambulance car. So, but they don't fixated me on this bad thing. So the thing is, this ambulance was driving over acres because this venue of this festival was deep in the woods on an acre, and I was banging in the ambulance car. Yeah, it was freaky. It was total freaky, and the most shitty thing was we came to so I arrived at the hospital. They scanned my leg, and they said, there's nothing. It's just a scratch, whatever. It's nothing. So, and we went straight back to Hamburg, and I think I arrived in the morning at 8, and we went because I was very suspicious about this situation. They gave me this one crotch and said, yeah, you will be fine. And I had a feeling, okay, it's not fine. And I called my friends, and we said, okay, we go to a biker for motorcycles, a special clinic, hospital thing. And the doctor said, okay, we have to make x-ray and this whole procedure, blah, blah, blah. And then we did this, and then he came and he said, yeah, you fucked up pretty hard. And I said, what's going on? And he said, yeah, I don't know the English word. The meniscus was broken. The wristbands here, the bands were completely torn apart, and some it was completely destroyed. And I said, I can't have a surgery now because I need to work. I need to make money. And they said, okay, yeah, but you should consider this. And I saw the reaction of the doctor, and he was pretty serious about this. And yeah, so I went home, and yeah, how to move on. You have to make money. You cannot sit at home, and yeah. So, and now, at that time I lived in Hamburg, and I think 2 months later I said, okay, we can play shows. I play shows anyway. And we booked a show in Berlin. Pretty ironic, because I live now in Berlin. And we booked a show in Berlin, and I smashed again on stage. And this time it was a little bit more rough. The stage was wet, and I was slipping, and I was smashing, and blah, and yeah. So, same procedure. I came back to Hamburg, to the clinic, to the hospital, and then they said, okay, you have to make a decision now. Either we do a surgery immediately, right now, or you can take the wheelchair and go home, and you keep it. So it was that serious. And I had to make the decision. Like, I had to do the surgery, and I had to do this whole thing and procedure. And yeah, it was, I had 2 surgeries. They fixed it. And when you're in the mid-20s, let's say 27, something like this, 26, 27, and you cannot walk it anymore, or you can't go out and meet friends because you're forced to stay home for a long time. And I don't talk about days, weeks, it was almost a year. I had to learn how to walk again. I went to rehab, and the thing is, it was pretty annoying, because at that time in my life I started to make structures and to bring it back on track after my past. And so I did this whole rehab thing, and yeah. But the thing is, when you're in that age and you cannot walk and you're forced to stay at home, the world around you becomes very dark. And even when your friends come at your home and they bring you some groceries or something to drink or stuff, to eat or whatever, they cannot fix what's happening here and here, because you stick at home, and that was hard. That was actually harder than the moment of the smashing leg, because I called my friends, hey, what's you doing? Blah, yeah, we're hanging out, we're going out to meet friends, and I was like at home, and I was like, fuck. And I discovered art, and that changed everything. So I started to reading books about art, and I was reading, I was doing research, and I was starting drawing, and more and more. I thought I saw a big universe coming up in front of me, like, wow, that's a new world. That's fucking interesting. And so I was drawing and painting like crazy, and at some point my apartment was full and stacked with paintings. And it was because I call always my friends or my family, and even when the connection with my family was not the best, they brought me groceries because I couldn't go out. And then I said, hey, can you bring me some paint or ink or canvases or paper or something? And I was drawing. I was on the ground here and in the kitchen on the ground, because moving was not very good. And yeah, so at some point the apartment was full with paintings, drawings, whatever, everything. And some people, my friends, said, hey, you should show this to someone. I said, no fucking way, it's too private. It's like, hey, these are my thoughts, my emotions that I went through. And I found a way to deal with the past and this situation. And they annoyed me so hard, like, hey, you have to show this to people. And I said, okay. And then I was like, back in the day, you don't had this fancy iPhones with 2 million megapixel cameras inside. So, and I had an old digital cam, and I took a few pictures and printed it out and did some research. And I went to a gallery in Berlin, and I was like, hey, this is my art, this is what I do. And I was, and the art dealer was saying, that's cool stuff. Let's do something. And we did an exhibition, and it was the vernissage, the opening night. It was, I think, over 600 people came. Everything was sold. And my art dealer, this guy, he was that smart. He said he saw more and more people coming, and he put I remember this clearly. He put a girl at the door, and she took entrance. So he made a ton of money in that night. He made the entrance. He had a bar, and he made the cut from the paintings. But it was too much for me. It was completely way too much for me, because when you're in a band, you're a part of 5 or 6. It's a group. So, and when I was playing live or in the practice room, I was always doing my stuff and in my bubble, but when you're an artist and alone, the focus is on you, and there's no one to back you up. So, and I remember I came home after this exhibition, after this opening, and I was like, okay, that's too much. I don't want to do this. And of course, the art dealer said, yeah, you have to do it again, make more paintings. And also my friends said, hey, you have to do more paintings, because, hey, it's cool. You make a buck, you make a coin. why not continuing? And I was struggling with that decision, and then I said, okay, I'll give it another shot. And I was more focused. And that was interesting because I felt a change in me. And I was more like, okay, thinking about sizes of the paintings. So it was, I think, I switched straight to a bigger size. I think, let me guess, it was 1 meter 20 by 1 meter 60. And was thinking about, okay, size, the next is the color palette. And then I was thinking about the theme. And in this early stage of working with painting, in this early stage I was more focused on a recap of the events that happened in my life. Like all the trouble with my parents, all the trouble with girls or alcohol or this whole party thing. And I was working with that on canvas. And that was a help. It was a help for my mental state at the moment. And I was productive. That was really important, that I had something to do and people liked it. So that was a nice experience. So, and then the same thing happened again. So I went to a gallery, I did some research, and then I went to another gallery. And same thing. The art dealer said, okay, let's do it. Let's do an exhibition. I thought, hey, pretty easy, right? Cool. So, but this what happened to me is very unique. That I realized years later that this is not the way how you jump into the art world. So the normal way is you study art, you have this long way to find a style and so on, but I skipped that. And so I had brushes, I had paint, I have pans, and I had paper, and I had those canvas, and it was like, I just use it. I had no idea, but I use it. And I early on had some kind of my own brush, my own style. And so yeah, next exhibition and the same thing. I remember it was at a Saturday, and the opening was at 1, but at 12 almost everything was sold. And the doors opened, and people came in and they said, why there's a red dot? I want to buy this. And then I realized, okay, something is changing massively. And I think that was the first time I realized, okay, this is a new chapter in my life. So it's something positive that I give to the people. Like, I'm creating something and people like it. The thing is, when I did the music, it was music is important, but music is like you dance and you feel emotion and you. But the thing is, when you paint, you're completely open. You're naked. Every aspect of you is open to the public, and I realized, okay, here's a change in progress, and then I worked more and I painted more and more, and I realized, okay, I make money, I pay taxes, that's my job now. And yeah, I did a lot of exhibitions, I shared the walls with big names like Gerhard Richter, like Basilis, like Pank, like I had 2 shows with HR Giga, which was for me as a alien science fiction fan, this was the pinnacle of art. It was like, oh my God, meeting your idol and having an exhibition. I think the first exhibition with Giga was in Italy, in Napoli, and the second was in Santa Monica in the US. And that was a new chapter in my life. So I traveled a lot, I met a lot of people, I had so many good moments, and I'm in so many good collections. Keanu Reeves has painting, Monkey from Korn, he became a close friend, and so many other people, like actors, like politicians, like companies or friends that I probably will never met in my life without art. So I remember I saw Korn. I think the first time the Life is Peachy tour, it was 98, 89 or 99. And then I saw them again, and then there was a big stadium tour in Hamburg, and later the guitar player, years later, the guitar player sits on my couch and chills with me and talks about his life and art, and this is special. So, and that's what I say. You meet a lot of interesting people, and that's a big blessing. And a lot of collectors of mine become close friends, and yeah, part of the family. But you should never forget that the art business has also his shadow sides. And yeah, it's always cool when people say, hey, you're an artist and you're traveling and yeah, you meet people and you sell stuff. But yeah, hey, it's a hard business. It's like, yeah, the gallery gets his cut, then the taxes, I can tell you, the taxes are a big pain in the ass. And then especially most of my collectors are from the States, and shipping and all this stuff is like, yeah, it's hard work, but it's part of the game, and if you want to succeed, you have to play it. So, but also you have always to consider to make new ways to approach people with the art, or I strongly believe that the concept of a gallery is pretty old-fashioned. It's like this white cube thing. It's not very personal. You hang your art. It's like a high-end car dealer. It's like, that's what it is. So it's and yeah, it's cool to meet some collectors, and you have this dialogue with them, and you see they're really in love with the piece, and they admire it, and they have it in their home, and but it's also a tough business. And even after this the pandemic, I must say the first year, like 2020, actually nothing really changed for me, which is absurd, but it's I was at some point I stopped before the pandemic. At some point I stopped to going out, like party. Yeah, I stopped partying hard 20 years ago, but I stopped going out to make party or whatever, because I saw so many things. I saw, the thing is, when you're in a club or in in a venue, and it's always like what, because no one understands. You always yell at each other. Then I go home and I lose my voice because I was yelling the whole night, and for what? And yeah, so during the pandemic, so I was doing the same. I was working at home on new works and paintings and drawings and yeah. So I think the worst thing was around 2020. So I had a solo exhibition in Berlin, and it was cut after 2 weeks. That was a pain in the ass, but yeah, it's like that. No one saw this coming. But yeah, I never stopped working. The whole lockdown or pandemic, I never stopped working. I created a lot of new works and big works, and I think at the end it was pretty rough because all the savings are gone and you cannot display your works in galleries. And I started to try new ways. Yeah, and the pandemic, it brought other challenges. So usually I have photographers who came to me and then they took pictures of my paintings. And because of the lockdown and a strict lockdown, I couldn't get any photographers anymore. So because I was, like, it was a weird situation. It was a weird time. So, and then I thought, okay, I have to make good pictures of my paintings. And then I was thinking to buy a camera. And that changed also a lot. So I bought a camera and I took the pictures of my paintings, and I always was interested in photography, but I was scared of all the buttons and the settings, and I saw a camera and I was like, oh, what to do? And I did research. And in the pandemic, it was like YouTube was my best friend. I learned so fast, so much. And I started to take some selfies. So I had an idea how I want to frame it and the lighting. I had an idea. And I took some selfies. And for fun, I created a profile. And so I was getting likes, bam, 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 and I didn't expect this. And I gained followers, and I didn't expect this, and I was like, okay, cool. And so at some point I thought, okay, maybe I text some people, maybe they're interested in taking pictures. And first, of course, like every photographer, he asks his friends. So I asked all my friends, hey, can you come? I want to take some pictures. And they came and everyone was getting good pictures. I hope so. So I think my benefit in photography is that I have the painting background. And I know how to compose a picture, the composition. I pretty have a good idea how to set the framing. I know to set the light, and I also know what colors I want and what colors I don't want. And I think that was a big benefit for me. That makes this jump to photography way more easy than maybe for some other people. And yeah, it was a snowball. It took its own life in a positive way. It was, I was shooting more and more, and of course I'm getting more getting more experience. From shooting to shooting, I learned more. You never learn enough, so it's always, every day is a new day and you learn. And I was getting bigger. And then magazines approached me, who started a few months before photography, and they asked me, hey, can we publish your paintings? I was like, Jesus, is the quality good enough? I don't want to ruin your reputation. So, and yeah, they said they love it and they want to publish it. And I ended up with my photography on a lot of magazines, like mostly Fetish magazines. But that was interesting. That was and is still interesting. There's one fun fact. I think around 2000, I was in a bookstore and they had this magazine, the Marquee magazine. It was a special issue with Dieter von Teese, and it was like a whole book, only Dieter von Teese. And I was, wow, she's hot. And I bought this book, and it was an awesome book. And yeah, the fun fact is that 20 years later, 5-6 months I'm into photography, the Marquee magazine approached me and asked me, hey, do you wanna publish your pictures in our magazines? And I was like, do you read right? And I said, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go. And I ended up on the cover of the Marquee magazine. And for some people, it was, yeah, for me it was a big deal. So because I 20 years ago I was buying this magazine, and then they asked me, and I'm still grateful and thankful for Andreas to give me this opportunity. And he strongly believed in me and other magazines as well. So there are so many magazines who support me and said, okay, send us more halt. And besides the photography, I shot music videos, and I never stopped making music. Yeah, there was a time, I think I stopped music for 5 years because it was too much. Being in a band has pros and cons. The pros is you always have fun. You always have stupid talks and you have shows and practice, and it's all cool. But the flip side is also, hey, you have to deal with 4 or 5 other individuals, and everyone has a different character. And I think after one European tour, last show was in Berlin, open air, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I need a break. So I sold almost everything of my gear, guitars, amps, everything. It was like a way. So, but it was not lasting forever. So, and at some point my hands were like becoming itchy. I want to have a guitar back in my hand. I need this. And I was buying guitars again and amps, and I started to write new music, but this time the music was different. And I had a new approach in music. And back in the day, like 20 years ago, songs had to be 6 minutes, riff. 100 riffs in one song and nothing repeats. That was always my go-to. And now I have a different approach. I think heavy music is always, for me, heavy music comes slow and hard and deep. And I tuned down my guitars, and I have in mind new music maybe 2 riffs that repeats 20 times. And it's so heavy, and it's full of atmosphere and emotion, and it was a long way to reach this level, to go. It's more, I think to describe it, it's more like caveman music. It's primitive. It's very primitive, simple, but on the other side, it's very effective. And you can close your eyes and you can bounce to the music and to the drums, to the rhythm, and it gives me more now. I never lost a passion for extreme death metal or metal in general. So a lot of my best friends, Jeremy from Broken Hope, I love this band. I love to support them, and or other bands that I know, and it's like, yeah, that's in me. I love it. Extreme hard. But also I really appreciate to understand the other side, like slow music, heavy music, and one song by Sun O goes 20 minutes, just drone noise. It's beautiful. It's some people will probably say, "Hey, it's just noise. I don't hear anything." But I hear so much details, so many nuances. Like, oh, you hear this frequency or here. What's wrong with you? But it was a long way to get there, and at some point I said, okay, I mastered photography quickly, easy. How about music videos? And I started shooting music videos, and I was doing my own music videos. Of course, I asked my friends, hey, can you help me? When I'm not in the frame, can you hold the camera? I'm a pain in the ass, especially as a model. I'm the worst model you can imagine, because I drive people crazy, because I always know better. And yeah, so I asked some friends, hey, can you help me? Can you help me? So, and music-wise, I do everything by myself. Sometimes I call my friends and say, "Hey, I need some guest vocals. Can you help me? You wanna sing or scream or make noise on the track, or play guitar, a rhythm or lead? Let's go, do it." And so I was starting to shooting my own music videos, and they ended up pretty good for a low budget video, because I didn't have that much budget to invest, but I think I mastered to make look something small really big. And I have to approach with everything. Okay, so I'm limited with this. What can I make with that? And that, for my creativity, it's the best thing. Of course, it's very convenient and luxury when you have the best camera, when you have the best lightings or the best canvases or frames or brushes. Yeah, it makes life easier, but I think when you have the passion, you don't need that much or that fancy stuff. You just need passion and heart. And yeah, a good camera it makes my work easier and maybe faster, but I don't shoot better videos or make better pictures. Or when I have 60 euro brushes, it doesn't make me a better painter. So yeah, it maybe feels good in the hand, or the color or whatever, maybe it's better, but it doesn't make you a better person or a better painter or artist. So, and I think it's my rule. If you start something, start low. don't build a house with a roof. Start in the basement. Start with the cellar and building up step by step. Otherwise, I think you get burned pretty fast by yourself and by the people, because it will not last forever. So you end up in a burnout, or people use you for their profits or whatever. So start low, get experience, and make the best out of it. And yeah, this is my approach in life, and this is my story so far. Enough? Can I go?